Stand up for yourself, and I'll back you up. 'Cause problems don't solve themselves. I'll tell you what, instead of would or could, I think you should draw a line in the sand and stand your ground. It's for your own good.
I want to welcome you back to another session with our guest, Jonathan Wakeen at Cleveland Block Coaching. And we're going to take time today to go a little bit deeper into exactly what is a life coach and how does that, if we were to think of it like an org chart, span out into different segments and different types of people that would be interested in doing a life coaching series. Welcome to the Voice of Families of Addiction. And what we're doing today is we're just taking time to identify that in the throes of where we are in life, taking a moment, regardless of what's taking place in our life, and understanding ourselves with clarity is a real advantage. So let's learn more about what Jonathan Wakeen has to offer us in his business and practice with Cleveland Block Coaching. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, Roy. How are you doing?
Very well. Thanks for asking. I wanted to start off with maybe a question that if I were the listening audience, who are you?
Yes. So my name is Jonathan Wakeen. I am the founder of and coach at Cleveland Block Coaching. I created Cleveland Block Coaching in 2022, and I created it based off of three elements: my own personal journey with coaching and my continuous process being coached, my beliefs, my values, and what is my purpose in this life, as well as this really cool common thread through my past careers that seems to have funneled me to this point in my life. And here I am with Cleveland Block Coaching, and it's my creation of my verse in this life.
Well, and now you're positioning yourself to be able to help us to understand what is our journey in life, and stop what you're doing, take a look around with a coach by your side. It's safe, and we'll learn more about, from what experiences you're mentioning and also the academics that you bleed into this. But tell us a little bit more about your personal journey and how that relates to Cleveland Block Coaching.
Yes, so my personal journey with coaching specifically started in 2021 when I got my first coach. His name is Don Scott. He's an executive coach, an amazing human, and an incredible coach. He really helped me transform my life, and not just temporary transformation, but a permanent transformation that has allowed me to get clear on who I am and what do I really want to do in this life. We took time to slow down. He really dug into this inner journey, exploration of my inner monologue, of my foundation, so my thoughts, my beliefs and values, my deepest desires of my heart, and also we really took a look at who I was and who I was being, and who did I want to be and what did I want to create in this life.
So in terms of what were your past experiences that led you to create Cleveland Block Coaching, in the sense that Don Scott was a pinnacle part, but really it was you doing the work. It was you that was kind of taken apart carefully and safely, and then it was you that reassembled kind of the pieces that were going to be most meaningful, and I guess kind of left behind the rest. Yeah. Tell us about the creation of you as it relates to Cleveland Block Coaching.
Yes, so when I look in my past, there's a common thread specifically on the career side that now that I look back, it's always pointed towards coaching. So early on in my corporate career, I was a financial auditor for a public and private accounting firm. So there we're auditing finances, we're auditing statements, companies, their business financial processes. I soon moved to another company where I was managing process quality audits to nuclear and ISO compliance. So that's looking at quality systems, quality processes, auditing to standards there, but also brought in an element of continuous improvement with how can we make this better? What are best practices? How can we create robust processes within a manufacturing environment? And then later on, I was also a manufacturing supervisor where I was a direct manager, coaching, leading teams, developing them, as well as the processes. So there's always been this thread of continuous improvement, quality standards, coaching, teaching people, and through my experience at Swagelok, where I was a quality auditor and also a manufacturing supervisor, I had some leadership experience there through a leadership development program. And it just all, now that I look back, it explains with where I am and what I've loved to do, which is my own continuous improvement and development, creating those quality standards for myself, tuning in and dialing in my own practices and processes to create the outcomes that I want. And then also doing the same for others, coaching, teaching, mentoring, how not only by bringing the best of myself out, I help others bring the best of themselves out, tap into their own greatness that's always been there, and then allowing them to do the same for others and be a catalyst for change.
Wow. Very quantitative, but at the same time, the quantitative is measuring the quality. And then I love this statement about the shareability of once you kind of like have an idea as to this is really us, this is you, this is me, and how do we then become better? I imagine you'll find yourself improving with each sessions of different clients.
Yes.
Because of the exploration of them.
Yes.
So it really does become, the good news is you know where you're going, which helps them to learn how they can get in a place where they can learn to know how they're going. But when we talk about Cleveland Block Coaching, and we'll take a look at that now, what does that mean, Cleveland Block Coaching?
Yes, so the name Cleveland Block Coaching is in memory of my grandfather. When he had moved from his old neighborhood in Cleveland, he brought some bricks with him that had Cleveland Block stamped on them.
Oh.
And my grandfather was a catalyst for who I am and who I am becoming. Even though he's not with us, he's still a powerful force in my life. And I've been blessed to have someone love me so powerfully in my life as he did. And he's the reason for who I am becoming, what I've built, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's in memory and gratitude of him.
Well, that's a very nice testimony. Thanks for sharing that. Very personal. Do we become vulnerable when we go on this exploration of self?
We do. It's very vulnerable, and that's something that when it comes to optimizing a coaching session, being honest and open, because what I found through my own experience coaching and being coached, and in my own journey and the journey of my clients, it's the things that we don't want to talk about that we need to talk about to create that transformational foundational change in ourselves.
So let's get down to it. What is Cleveland Block Coaching?
So Cleveland Block Coaching it's my coaching company. And what we believe is that our best selves create our best lives, that there's greatness in all of us, and that it's a mountain with no top. What Cleveland Block Coaching does is that we work with the individual one-on-one, and whether it's in their personal or professional lives, we help them develop into who they want to be and what they want to do by creating their world from the inside out. So it's looking at their inner monologue, their foundation, getting a clear vision for where they want to go. It's taking time to slow down and create the future, collapsing space and time, bringing it into now and creating that change. We sit with the individual, again, personal, professional front from the type of leader that they want to become. And we also work with groups, do one-on-one coaching, as well as with companies.
It's very insightful. It's very inspiring, and I want to thank you for doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
It seems like if someone were to say, Roy, so what is Cleveland Block Coaching? And you, meaning you, Roy, can only choose one word. I would choose the word truth, because it seems like a lot of what you're dealing with is putting away the things that may not be, may be disguised as truth, which becomes very confusing to us. But you're finding that inner truth, and then you're building from that. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, in your dialogue. So then, what is the difference between a counselor that you might seek to help you and a coach?
Yeah, so the difference between counseling and coaching, there's a big difference, and I have full respect for counseling. I've been through different modalities of therapy, working with counselors, and counseling derives from the medical field. It's really looking at the past, understanding why the way we are in this moment, and it helps us process past events. Coaching, on the other hand, comes from the performance arts and sports. And when I say performance arts, think of like dancing and acting.
Sure.
And coaching is forward looking. It's creation in the now. It's partnering with someone to look at our performance in the now, to make changes to how we are performing, to create the best in ourselves.
Okay.
So it's really creating from a blank canvas, saying, this is where I am, where do I want to go?
But I guess not completely blank, because you're using some of the good pieces that are already there.
This is true. This is true. And when I say blank canvas, this what I'd like to use when I use that. It's we all have that inner monologue in our head. Whether it's true or not, it's there. And what we do is say, okay, the past is the past. We are where we are now. But who do we want to be going forward? And really, the past, while it has had an impact on where we've gotten today, it's not going to get us where we want to go forward. So let's draw a blank canvas and get creative with who do I want to be? What does that look like? And it doesn't matter what's happened in the past. It's having that free-flowing creative inspiration.
Mm-hmm. So, Jonathan, if I were to sit there and from this podcast say, this sounds like it's for me. I live in San Diego, or I'm an executive in Minnesota. How do I get in touch with you? What do I need to do to prepare to get in touch with you? What's my thought as a person that's going to give you a call and say, I'd like to have a discussion with what it is that you're doing to see for myself how I can take advantage of this?
Yeah, so part of preparing for coaching is really taking a pen and a paper and asking, what do I want in this life? Why don't I have it? What's the importance of me having this? What's the impact of me not having this? And it's really looking inward and saying, do I want this transformational change? And coaching isn't just for not having something. I work with clients who are extremely successful and they're looking to kick it up into the next gear. So a year ago, I was working with a client, young man. He has 3 active businesses.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was starting some new ventures with his businesses, taking on new situations. He wanted to become a more impactful leader. He was taking on some new responsibilities in the finance realm where he wasn't familiar with. So there was some hesitation there. He was hiring new employees, so he wanted to create new lines of communication and become a more clear and concise communicator. And when I first met with him, I could feel the pressure, the internal pressure from what he was going through. It showed up in his communication and how he was in that moment.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
We took a look at his inner monologue. We took a look at the foundation from which he was creating, so his thoughts, his beliefs, his values.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at what was not serving him.
Mm-hmm.
We also looked at his strengths, and we used his strengths to replace what was not serving him with highly effective practices, habits, thoughts, beliefs, and values. And that created incredible success for him. And part of that is that we have so many different versions of ourselves, a business owner, a partner romantically, a partner in business. It could be a teammate, an athlete, a student of life, a student of education. And these are all versions of us, but the commonality is our foundation, who we are, what we believe, what we value, what our thoughts are. And so by looking inward at our foundation, it helps us show up as a better, whatever that may be, a more impactful leader, a more impactful business owner, executive, whatever it may be, father, parent. It really affects all the areas of life. So that's taking a look at all areas of the life and saying, what do I want to create? And looking inward, I would say that would be some preparation for coaching.
Okay. And then once you get engaged, those become more clear understanding of the different sessions that you're having. And really, it seems like you're doing a little bit of behavioral mapping and understanding how do we behave based on our values. And this sounds like a very, very fruitful venture to get in touch with you. Honestly, I think that anybody who goes down this path will find themselves being rewarded. And then the goal then is to sustain that. And tell me a little bit about sustaining it.
Yeah, so in order to create the sustainable transformational change that someone wants to see and that I can hold space for and help facilitate, it's a two-way street. Coaching is partnering. I'm not on a pedestal telling you what to do. I don't have a system that's going to work that I'm selling someone on or that I'm giving you that I've given other people. It's a tailored, personal approach. And what makes coaching the most effective is when I bring my 100%, which is my job, and that someone who's interested in coaching or who is being coached learns to optimize their sessions and how they show up. And there's three big characteristics that in the last story with the business owner that I worked with that he showed that I actually tell all my future clients or in first conversations for them to show up and ask themselves if they're willing to show these characteristics, which is being open and honest. In the case with who I worked with, he was extremely open and honest about things that he didn't want to talk about. And like we had mentioned earlier, it's the things that we don't want to talk about that we need to talk about to create that transformational foundational change.
Right.
Another one was curiosity, and that's showing up, asking questions, being curious about learning, being open to experimenting with new practices and asking questions of yourself and of me during the sessions. And another highly effective habit that I've seen is taking action immediately. Transformation or any change requires action. And the sooner that action can be taken after a coaching session, it's more impactful, it's more powerful, it's more transformational. So those are three elements that I would say in preparation for coaching or for someone to consider that they should bring with them for a highly effective coaching conversation and to create that transformational change.
Excellent. I applaud everything that you're doing. I think it's going to be a great contribution to the individual. The people that in the Venn diagram with all the roles we have will be able to take advantage of the changes that we find ourselves making in our sessions with you. And then, of course, the community in whole. I mean, if more people would do this self-reflection, for one, I think we'd have a very unified and rewarding community and society because we just do ourselves best and we're not in conflict with the things that are happening as opposed to the things that we would like to see happen. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? And please do state, because we have a listening audience that's listening to this on podcast, your phone and website.
Yeah, so what I would like to share is a practice, and this would tie into anyone who is interested in coaching or just interested in exploring themselves a little bit more. And it would be to take out a pen and a piece of paper, find a quiet spot, and give yourself 10 minutes. I would ask that you start by quieting your mind and your body, taking 3 breaths in through your nose and 3 breaths out, and do that 3 times. Open up your eyes, pick up your pen, and write down the question, what do I want? And write down 3 items that you want. There's no right or wrong to this, it's just letting it flow out. And then go to the next question, why don't I have this yet? And then write down why you don't for each of those 3 items. The last question part of this practice would be, for each of those 3 items, what is one thing that I'm committed to start doing and one thing that I'm committed to stop doing to move the needle forward to move towards the things that I want? And I would love to hear back from anyone that completes this. You can reach out to me at info@clevelandblockcoaching.com. And my website is www.clevelandblockcoaching.com.
Very good. And is your phone contact information on there?
It is, yes.
Great, great. Well, I want to thank you for coming into the studio today and sharing with us all that is happening. It sounds very exciting. Things are going to develop with Cleveland Block Coaching. It seems to me that this is something that people can access from any part of the United States, or even internationally for that matter.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is to assure those people that are listening or watching this program that Jonathan is genuine. And I've had a chance to get to know him, and all that he is doing and saying will be a direct impact in your life if you just take the time to connect. I want to thank you very much for joining us today in today's session with the voice of families in addiction, and welcoming our guest, Jonathan Wakeen, and our Cleveland Block Coaching Advantage that's being offered throughout the United States for all of us to access.
Can I say one more thing, Roy?
You sure can.
So coaching is a really fun process. And as I said, it's from the sports. So I just want to throw out a few examples where think about, a baseball team, right? You have a hitting coach, you have a base running coach, you have a pitching coach, you have an infield coach, you have a head coach, and each of them are looking at the player's performance in that specific area. They're providing in-time feedback, and they're helping that player create the best selves. And that even ties into the business world when you think of Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs. They've all had journeys with coaching. And so coaching isn't just for, I don't have something in my life, I want to improve it. It's really a fun way to boost performance in a very impactful way. I just wanted to share that.
I think that's worth taking the time to share.
Stand up for yourself, and I'll back you up, 'cause problems don't solve themselves. I'll tell you what, instead of would or could, I think you should draw a line in the sand and stand your ground. It's for your own good.